You have been waiting for God to answer your prayer with something that matches the size of your problem. A big problem deserves a big solution. That is what you have been telling yourself. Naaman believed the same thing. And when God's answer arrived, it was so small, so unimpressive, so beneath what he expected, that he nearly turned around and went home still sick. Naaman was the commander of the Syrian army. 2 Kings 5:1 describes him as a great man in the sight of his master, highly regarded, because through him, the Lord had given Syria victory. Note that through him, the Lord had given Syria victory. The text tells you up front that God was already involved in this man's life long before Naaman knew it. And yet, the same verse ends with, "But he had leprosy," the most powerful man in the Syrian military, and a disease that would eventually isolate him from everyone he commanded. Read that again. Part 1. The information that started everything came from a captured slave girl. 2 Kings 5:2-3. Now, bands of Arameans had gone out and had taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would go to see the prophet in Samaria. He would cure him of his leprosy." The most powerful military household in Syria received its only hope of healing from a girl with no name, no status, no freedom, taken by force from her own country. Many of you will push back on this. Good, because this detail is uncomfortable on purpose. This girl had every reason to withhold this information. She had been taken from her home by the very army Naaman commanded. And instead of silence, instead of resentment, she offered the one thing that could heal the man who represented everything that had been done to her. Nobody asked her to. The text does not record gratitude returned to her, a reward, or even her name remembered. She gave the information and disappears from the story entirely. Think about that for a second. Part 2. Naaman brought a letter, a fortune, and an entourage, for an instruction he had not yet heard. 2 Kings 5:5-6. The king of Aram said, "Go, and I will send a letter to the king of Israel." Naaman set out, taking with him 10 talents of silver, 6,000 shekels of gold, and 10 sets of clothing. 10 talents of silver alone is roughly 750 pounds. This was not a humble request. This was a state visit with diplomatic weight, royal correspondence, and a fortune in payment, for a healing nobody had specified yet. Naaman arrived prepared to negotiate, to pay, to perform whatever ceremony a man of his rank would expect to perform. But here is what nobody told you. Elisha did not even come to the door. Part 3. The prophet sent a messenger, and Naaman exploded. 2 Kings 5:9-10. So Naaman went with his horses and chariots and stopped at the door of Elisha's house. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go, wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Elisha did not come out. He sent a messenger with 7 words. Wash in the Jordan 7 times. 2 Kings 5:11-12. But Naaman went away angry and said, "I thought he would surely come out to meet me. Are not the rivers of Damascus better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be cleansed?" So he turned and went off in a rage. Now stop. This is the moral dilemma at the center of the entire story. Naaman's objection was not irrational. The Jordan was a smaller, muddier river than the rivers of Damascus. If the cure was water, any water should work. His logic was sound. His expectation that his rank entitled him to a ceremony, an appearance, a process that matched his status, was also, by every human standard, reasonable. Was Naaman wrong to be offended? Many of you will push back on this. Good, because the answer matters for your own life. Tell me in the comments, if you were Naaman, would you have washed in the Jordan or turned the chariot around and gone home? Part 4. The people who saved his life were his own servants. 2 Kings 5:13. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more when he tells you, 'Wash and be cleansed'?" These were his servants, men whose entire social position depended on Naaman's favor, men who had every incentive to agree with him, to validate his anger, to support his decision to leave. Instead, they confronted him. They called him father, a term of respect, while directly challenging the most powerful man in their world. They risked everything they had to say the thing he did not want to hear. Type Amen if you are claiming this, that sometimes the voice God uses to redirect you will not have the authority your pride is demanding, but it will have the truth your healing requires. Part 5. The healing required 7 repetitions of something that produced nothing the first 6 times. 2 Kings 5:14. So he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him, and his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. 7 times, not once. If Naaman had stopped after the first dip, nothing. After the 3rd, nothing. After the 6th, still nothing visible. The instruction did not produce a partial result that built confidence along the way. It required complete obedience to an instruction that, for 6 full repetitions, gave him no evidence it was working at all. Let that land. Part 6. After the healing, Naaman returned, and his theology had changed completely. Back into Kings 5:15. Then Naaman and all his attendants went back to the man of God. He stood before him and said, "Now I know that there is no God in all the world except in Israel." The man who had arrived with 10 talents of silver and a letter from a king now stood before Elisha with nothing to offer but acknowledgement. The gold he brought was refused. Elisha would not take payment for what God had done. The only thing Naaman could give that Elisha would accept was the truth Naaman now believed. Part 7. The instruction that almost cost him everything was the same instruction that saved him. The 7-word command never changed. Wash in the Jordan 7 times. What changed was Naaman. The water was the same. The river was the same. The instruction was exactly as simple on the day he obeyed it as it was on the day he raged against it. The only variable in the entire story was whether Naaman would let go of what he believed the cure should look like long enough to receive what it actually was. Here is what God did not do for Naaman. He did not send a more impressive messenger. He did not perform a ceremony that matched Naaman's rank. He did not adjust the instruction to accommodate the objection. He let the instruction stand exactly as it was, and let Naaman's own servants, the lowest status people in his household, be the ones who got through to him. You have an instruction in front of you right now that feels too small for what you are facing, too ordinary, beneath what you believe your situation deserves. The instruction is not the problem, and the people God is using to deliver it may not have the rank you think the message requires. If you want to understand what it means to step into something that requires faith before the result appears, watch the video on screen now. Joshua had to put his feet in a river before it stopped flowing. The water did not move first. Drop. I receive this in the comments if you are choosing today to stop waiting for an instruction that matches your expectations and start obeying the one you already have.